Let me explain you very quick something. We have the humans, they live in the first timeline. In the future, there's happening something, a big catastrophe, and what they do, they send back the type from Israel back in time to try to change this timeline, to try to change this big catastrophe, what's happening in the future. So when they send the tribe from Israel back, they're coming back on 11,100 BC, just after the collapse of Atlantis. Atlantis collapse was finished in 11,200 BC. So for this we take in calculation 11,100 BC that I was coming back. The idea was that I was changing the first timeline, but this is not happening. They come on a second timeline, okay? And on this second timeline is the timeline what we live today. Now, what you have déjà vus from this first timeline that go back to this second timeline. So because you have already lived your life, you need to relive your life, and you come on a moment and déjà vu. Yeah, it's logic, because you have this déjà vu already from the first timeline. It's also the same principle. Why we have today people that do predictions about the future. They don't do predictions about the future, they predict what's happening here in the first timeline, and they tell it here, you in the second timeline, what's going to happen. So for this we have déjà vus. So these déjà vus can happen on two levels. First is a level of history. I can give you an example. In the first timeline, there was only one world war. In the second isn't two world wars. In the first timeline, there was only one VTC tower that was collapsed. In the second timeline, there are two VTC towers that's collapsed. So you have everything what's coming double back again. To come back on this déjà vu from the history level, so you can have a déjà vu on history level, okay? Or you can have a déjà vu on human level. And we have on human level and déjà vu. That's mean what we have experienced here as life, we got to experience here back again this as life. And it's here that you have the déjà vu from this moment. So for this, if you see the predictions as Nostradamus, they have do the predictions of the history was happening in this first level. And then there was coming back in the time, and then Nostradamus and all these prophets make predictions in the second timeline, what's happening in the first timeline. Easy to understand.